Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good, man.
Alex.
Jim. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Hey, man. I just wanted a couple things. First of all, I wanted to thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right?
For what?
Because I know what you're doing, and I think it's a double-edged sword. I think it's a good thing.
Yes, sir.
I think it's a good thing for the cops that are doing the right things and that aren't violating people's rights.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate that because it holds those bad cops accountable.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I did some research on YouTube, and I saw some of the things and some of the videos. You know, I don't know if you had posted any or not, just YouTube in general.
Yes, sir.
And some of the people are actually harassing the police, I think, and trying to get a reaction out of them, while others, I've seen some pretty things that I felt were really wrong on the police officers' parts.
Well, if you look at my channel, equals 1337, I don't make contact with cops whenever I record.
Yeah, and I noticed that, and I tested you the other night on that, because I noticed when I made that traffic stop,
Yes, sir.
you had stopped, and I guess you were filming.
Yes, sir.
Which is cool. I don't have a problem with that at
Yes,
all.
sir.
You know, and I appreciate that. And so I was like, man, does he have a radio, or is it just because he saw my lights? So I put you to the test.
I was at 3rd Street when you went fly after him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I put you to the test, and I said, well, let me pass by, just put my lights on and pull over. Because I hadn't actually pulled anybody over. And I just had my back strobes on, so I was waiting, and I was waiting, and I was waiting, and lo and behold, here you come. And I appreciate that you flashed your lights to let me know you were there and that you didn't get too close.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that very much.
They didn't. Like, if you talk to anybody in Eunice, like, the people,
dude, I've seen some ugly shit on YouTube for Eunice.
I've learned. That's why I was doing it in Eunice. Like, something happened to me, and luckily I had recorded it, and I read the police report, and it was riddled with lies. I wish I still had it.
Really?
And I looked back at my video, and I read the police report, and I'm like,
two different things.
Yeah. So
right.
When I put the video up on YouTube, YouTube does this really interesting thing where they'll show you ads and other videos based on what they think you like.
Yeah.
So they start showing me these cop watch videos, and I'm like, I could do that. I have enough gumption, you know.
Yeah.
And I started doing it, and immediately they jump on me. I had one arrest, 3 of them, 2 from both sides, and 1 on the other side blocking me.
Where you had a legal right
I'm just
to be,
standing
you were
there
at
like,
a distance
yes, sir.
videoing.
I had
Really?
Fred. It was a joined parking lot, and I had Fred's permission. I had asked Fred's because that's where I had parked parallel with them.
Right.
And they went and they came over and asked him, "Do you have a complaint?" He goes, "You're on private property and you're following my officer." But I wasn't following. It was because you parked within a block. That's why I parked out of the block in case you were somebody that would do something like that.
Yeah.
And he got me on that, and he said, he goes, "You're on private property too." I said, "Do you have a complaint?" And you watch him on video. He says, and I quote, "Not yet." I tell him I have Fred's permission to be here. So he goes to the Super One Foods and gets a complaint from them.
Wow. Well, I just want to let you know that I've been a police officer for about 16 years, and I've been videoed many times,
Yes, sir.
and I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I don't have an issue with it. It's your absolute right.
I don't think anybody should, you know?
I don't, because, and I'm going to tell you why I don't, because I'm very careful with what I do, because I like my house, I like my car, I like my family. You know what I'm saying?
It should be an integrity thing,
I
though,
like
not
my
a fear
job.
of leaving.
And,
you know what I mean?
And you know what? It is. It is. It's about honesty, working with honesty and integrity, because the public, you're placed with a public trust.
Do you mind if I smoke all this?
No, not at all. You're placed with a public trust. I am.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And I've sworn to uphold the laws and Constitution of Louisiana and the Constitution of the United States. Well, what I can and can't do, as you well know, is based on the rights in the Constitution. You understand? And when police officers start violating people's rights blatantly, it makes cops like me look like crap. And it gives us a bad name. And then on the next thing you know, all the cops are targets.
See, that's exactly what a couple officers understood from me in units, but none of them would come up and say it to me, you know, like you have. And I really appreciate this, you know what I mean?
No, you're welcome.
And I'm definitely going to put this up and say, hey, good job, you know what I mean?
Oh, you're recording?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Cool.
I always do in case, you know, for my safety.
It's cool, man.
Because I was kind of scared. Like, you came by that night, I was like, oh, fuck, what if my window tint or something, you know what I mean?
No, I wanted to find out who you were, and I remembered you. I said, that's who that is. Do you remember in Kaplan?
At
Annie's Bar? You were filming across from Annie's Bar.
Yes, sir.
And I asked you, I said, are you filming? And you said yes. And I said, well, that's good because I am too, because I had an in-car camera.
Yes, sir.
And I was wearing a body mic. Yeah. And I left you alone.
I think that should be like all cops, but you know, they get a slap on the wrist if they forget it. And if a complaint's filed and they haven't recorded for that particular altercation, they just get a slap on the wrist, and the altercation goes under the...
I think that goes back to the administration and the leadership.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it goes back, I guess the previous administrations in this city did not work with honesty and integrity.
I've heard good things about, what's her name?
Miss Kayla?
Kayla.
She hasn't ever lied to me. She's never made me any promises. She's told me do your job, but she said if you're wrong, you will be held accountable.
You know what the chief in Eunice said about my cop watching?
Huh?
Borderline terrorism. A reporter out of Florida called him saying, hey, like, shouldn't you be okay with this guy filming because he holds your officers accountable? And he goes, well, what he's doing is borderline terrorism.
I don't see how it is because you're not making any threats.
The funny part is the threat or intimidation of force for a political gain or some type of gain is the definition of terrorism. What he was doing, making his officers come at me, he has a file on me in there. Even my probation officer has seen this big file they have in my picture on the wall. What he was doing was borderline terrorism, let's be honest.
Wow. Well,
he's even having the FBI investigate the leak.
I can't.
You saw the officer choking the guy out of Eunice?
No, I never did.
I
saw a couple of the Eunice videos. Was that you filming?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I was wondering if that was you or not. I wasn't sure, but I wasn't looking for anything that you had posted in particular. I was just kind of perusing, you know what I mean, to see what, what fired this all up. And I saw a lot of videos that, as a police officer, and I don't mind saying this, being recorded, as a police officer, kind of raised some flags for me. Because if you're filming a traffic stop and you're at a safe distance and you're not posing a threat, or you're filming an officer doing his duties and you're at a safe distance and you're not posing a threat, the officer should have no issues with that. I think that when it becomes an issue is if people start encroaching on a safe area of operation around the officer. I know that when I'm on a traffic stop and another vehicle pulls up too close or gets out and approaches me, it makes me nervous personally.
I understand.
And I back them away. Stop. But like when you flashed your lights, I already knew it was you, and I knew you weren't going to harm me.
Yeah, I liked how you checked your flashlight and saw I wasn't a threat, and then you went back to your scene. Most officers hold their flashlight on me because I can't see anything. The video can't see anything.
I'm not like that, man.
I've had people in units that have put their spotlight right on me.
As a matter of fact, if you see my lights, I invite you. Come video, dude. I don't really care. Honestly, I don't care. It doesn't bother me because I will work with honesty, integrity, and I won't do frivolous things that are an abuse of power.
That's what I really want to see more in the police force, integrity.
So I'm telling you right now, I work with honesty and integrity. You see me pass by all the freaking time, dude. The city's only so big, and I can only drive the streets so many times.
Yeah, no, I think it was you. I was like, I appreciate you checking the yards and stuff, but when you turn, I think it was you.
You'll notice I haven't shined my light on your corner since.
No, I don't mind whenever you pass, even if you want to shine it on the corner. It's just when y'all turn. I've had one of the officers go over the hill. I told you that. Yeah. And if I'd have been if it had been 2 more seconds, I'd have went right into that light.
Yeah.
And that's all that really bugs me. Otherwise, I appreciate y'all scanning the yards, I think that more proactive approach to policing is what should be done instead of the reactive approach we have now.
Yeah, I mean, I work at night, and unfortunately, I can't see in the dark spaces. So,
Like I said, I really don't
have
a problem.
Do you mind if I smoke?
Sure. I enjoy talking with police. There's actually a,
I didn't mean to come bother you and disturb you. Really. Your
How's
name's
it-
Mike, right?
Alex.
Alex.
My boyfriend's Mike. It's nothing personal against you, but I'm smoking another one. I get nervous around cops.
You don't have to be nervous around me.
They shaved my head in Eunice. That's what started
I'm a
it.
family man. I have a wife. I have a son. I have grandkids. I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you. My hobby is saltwater fish tanks. I'm a Christian. I go to church. I'm a normal human being, man.
See, there's this group called Oath Keepers you might want to look into if you're all about upholding the Constitution. It's former law enforcement, former military, active law enforcement that are kind of scared with the direction of the country's going in terms of policing.
I'm scared about it too. I'm afraid of it on a higher level though. You know what I'm saying? On a federal and government level, that's where I'm afraid of it.
Federal government has ignored the 10th Amendment so many times, and they don't have a problem doing so.
It's called what? Oath Keepers?
Oath Keepers. They, on a grassroots level, they pretty much say, hey, we're going to ignore unconstitutional orders to take guns and things like that, and we're going to keep things grassroots, bring our country back to how it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it got to the point... If it got to the point where the federal government was trying to order me to illegally go into people's houses and confiscate guns, I would quit. Because I believe we have a right to be secure in our places, property, persons, and things.
I got to, we're really lucky here in Louisiana, you know what I mean? In other countries, in other states that are further north that have open carry laws, most people don't utilize that right. So when people do, it freaks people out.
I've come across 2 in Kaplan, and where else? And I think that's it. 2 in Kaplan, and I was on duty when it happened. There's one guy. He was at the gas station at I forget the name of it, on 14. At the Kaplan Quick Stop, and I saw it. And I saw it was a Glock. It was on his side, and I looked, and I swung back around because I wanted to see if he was a police officer. So I was looking for any identification. I didn't see any. So I approached him, and I knew there was open carry. I really didn't bother him about it too much. He was really cooperative, really nice, really polite guy. He said, here's my ID. Do what you got to do. No criminal history. I gave him back his ID, said, have a nice day.
I'm wondering, if he'd have refused to identify, what would you have done?
What would I have done?
Since you didn't have a suspicion of a crime being active or about to take place, as per Terry v. Ohio and Brown versus Texas?
Probably nothing. I think a reasonable individual could assess whether an individual is a threat or not. And I had already assessed that because as I was walking up to him, he made no threatening movements towards me. He made no gestures to reach for his weapon. Do you understand? He was putting gas in a gas can.
Yes, sir.
You understand? If he would have seen me and made a threatening gesture and reached for his weapon or done something in that manner, you know what I'm saying? To pose a threat to me or perhaps the public, then perhaps I would have had more reasonable suspicion to believe that there's something wrong. Yes, but he was really polite. He readily gave his ID. I didn't even have to ask the guy. He just was like, here's my ID. And we talked. We must have talked for about 10 minutes, and I left.
See, and it's nothing personal to you or police in general. I don't identify unless, there is that reasonable suspicion. If you can tell me there's a reasonable suspicion or you have cause to detain me and you can let me know that, I will actively hand it over.
Terry v. Ohio.
Yes, sir.
That's basically what's called a Terry stop.
Yes, sir. And Brown versus Texas says, you can't just ask for identification because you want to run.
Right. And I don't. You'll see, man. Alex, you're gonna learn me. You're gonna learn me. I don't have a problem with you filming me on traffic stops. I could freaking care less.
Which is funny because
I don't give a crap.
Yeah, you know that stupid Gate on Confessionals page that somebody has
I had
started?
my wife. I don't have a Facebook page, and I don't get involved with the social media thing because I think it's too much of the world and it's just garbage.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I used to want to read people's minds, but until I got a Facebook.
Right? I don't blame you. My wife looked on the Get On confessional once, and she didn't see much of anything, just a bunch of gossip.
Yeah, it's all stupid.
Yeah.
But somebody had posted, "Film the police," and one of the officers, I can't remember his name, I wish I could, I believe it starts with a G, said, remaining after forbidden also counts for public places. And I looked it up, it counts for public buildings. So if I'm out on the road and he tried to claim, you know, you need to leave,
Yeah, on a road.
I'd love to see him try it.
The only way, let me tell you, the only thing that here's a for instance, Alex.
Yes, sir.
Here's a for instance. Officers go to a fight scene. There's an active fight. People are bleeding. There's damage to property. It's a chaotic scene. Officers are trying to control the scene. They're trying to separate parties. You understand? And gain control of the scene. We have to gain control of the scene for a few different reasons. One, for the safety of everybody involved. Two, for the safety of general public, depending upon where it's located and what's happening, right? Three, for the safety of us as officers, as
Yes, sir.
people. We have a right to protect ourselves and work safely. So if somebody comes in on that scene and starts running their mouth and giving problems, and we tell them, leave.
Yeah, like I said, I don't involve myself with
You know what I'm
things.
saying? And this is where I'm going with what you were saying.
Yes.
And we tell them to leave, and they don't, then it becomes what is resisting, known as resisting. And if you've looked up resisting in the state of Louisiana, it doesn't have to be an active resistance.
I know.
It can simply be not following a lawful, keyword, lawful order given by a police officer. Okay? And at that point, depending upon where it is, if it's at main stop, I could get them for remaining where forbidden. If it's on private property, I could get them for remaining where forbidden. If it's here on a public street, it's simply a resisting charge.
Yeah. You should,
So,
if you, I'm not sure which officer that was, but you should probably, you know, let them know that, and get them more in touch with the constitutional right to film, because I will test that officer.
yeah, I'm sure you will.
I promise you. I'll say that now.
I would advise not encroaching too closely upon whatever scene he's working or where he's at. But if you're at a distance and you have a right to be where you're at,
I don't like officers making vague
You know.
threats like that, like he did.
so, well, you'll never have that problem with me, man.
I don't think I will, and I appreciate you coming to talk to me. I really do.
Oh, you're welcome, because I thought about it. I was off the weekend, and I kept thinking about it, and I kept thinking about it, and I started looking at the YouTube, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize.
Yes,
You
sir.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
My eyes were kind of open. I didn't realize that many police officers were actually felt threatened by somebody filming them.
I'm 110 pounds.
I don't think it's the physical threat.
Yeah.
You know, I really believe, Alex, that it's probably a psychological threat to them.
Questioning their authority. I get it.
Yeah, I guess.
And I always
I
question
don't
authority.
know.
You should, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
It
Well,
doesn't-
I didn't want to take up too much of your time, Alex.
Not a problem. I was just
I
going to
wanted
bathe
come
my
introduce
ferrets.
myself. I'm sorry?
I was going to bathe my ferrets. That's fine.
Oh, ferrets. That's cool. That's cool. I'm buying my son, and let me get your input on this. I'm buying my son a sugar glider
I had a sugar glider.
for Christmas.
How you going to get it?
He's 4 months old,
Oh, okay.
and he comes from a litter, and he comes from a good home and a woman who really takes very good care of them. So
Have you done your research on them?
much.
So you know that the staple diets and crap they try to give in stores
Yes.
is bad.
Yes.
You have to
Yes.
make this monthly freezing thing.
Yes, and that's what she told me. She says, I have some. I get it from a guy in Patterson. She says, I'll show you how to make it. We'll make a batch, and you freeze it.
Mhm.
And then there's the usual diet, like the fruits and the vegetables. And yeah, I have.
So-
And I watched there's some YouTube videos of a veterinarian.
Yes, sir.
Does a bunch of YouTube videos, I guess, online. I watched all of that stuff.
How old's your son?
He's 13.
Okay. I got my sugar glider when I was 15,
Uh-huh.
and I did. You're recommended to get two so they can pair together because
Right.
they're really
They're colony animals.
yes
Yes.
big on it. Because I only got one, and I didn't think it was a problem because I'd always take him out, and He'd sleep in my jacket and in my pouch, and for at least an hour a day. So he was really attached to me, and he was fine that way. But when I had to go to college in Eunice, I had to leave him here for it, and he died in 2 weeks after I left.
He was bonded to you, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why he was bonded to you.
Tore me up.
That's a strong bond then, isn't it? They really do bond that tightly, don't
Tore
they?
me. Like, I'd make trips to Lafayette with him, you know what I mean? He'd just sleep. We'd go to Olive Garden or something, I'd slip him a little fruit in my pocket.
That's cool, man.
They're awesome.
It's a good pet?
They're awesome pets. They're really bonded. They love you. You should let them know they will nip to get to trust you and everything. Right. But that should go away after a couple of months, especially with some proper training.
Okay. Also, our son is homeschooled, so he's home all the time.
So that would be better.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's leaving the house for 8 hours a day to go to school and then he comes home. He's home.
I don't know if you know how to bond or if you've looked into it.
Yes, I've read on it. I've read extensively on it, and I've watched some veterinary videos on it, as well as some other personal videos that people have posted on YouTube. So I have, and I guess it's not something like a dog.
No,
I think it's more, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's more letting the animal bond to you than you kind of like a puppy. You know what I mean? You pick the puppy up and. You know, and I think it's more of the animal getting used to you, talking to the animal a lot, using the fleece and you know, putting clothing with your scent over the top of the cage so he knows your scent. And I guess they're going to do, what do they call that? That little chatter thing they do when they're scared?
If not only that, but at night, the mating calls, especially if you just have one, are pretty annoying. I will let you know that now.
Is it a barking? They bark a lot?
They bark a lot, yeah. And I'm a deep sleeper. And they'll probably do it for about 30 minutes.
Does a nightlight work to end that or no?
I've turned on the light and come to try and calm him down a couple of times. And for the most part, as soon as I'll turn it off, he'll go again.
What about, I've heard the vet online was saying it's good to get them neutered as soon as possible. Is this
that helps with
the reason why?
That helps with the scent mostly, but I don't know about how it helps with that barking. You should look more into that, because to me, like I said, I was a hard sleeper. He'd wake me up once a month maybe. Right. But my family in the house would tell me he would do it more often.
Okay. You know? All right, I'll be watching for that then.
So and I'm sure there are ways to combat it. The light, like you said, I couldn't always have a light on for him.
Right.
There's electricity, but if you can have a light on him, I'm sure that would deter it.
Okay. Cool. Well, I don't want to take up your time. You got to wash your ferrets.
I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure meeting you.
And like I said, this was just like, you know, I didn't know what was, you know, you were coming to talk to me about, but I'm glad I was filming, because if you don't mind, I'm going to put that up as this is what, you know.
That's your right. I can't stop you.
Yes, sir. I'm just saying, I do like saying on a personal level, you know, when I can, when officers aren't being confrontational, letting them know, hey, you know, I do want to put this up.
I'm only confrontational when I have to be. You know, my motto basically is, and has been for years now, be nice till it's time not to be nice, and then be nice some more. You know,
I had one officer tell me he knows when to escalate or de-escalate a situation, and for the most part he did, and then on another part I was like, no.
I always like to de-escalate no matter what.
Yes, sir.
That's my goal.
You have a good night. Stay safe.
Yes, sir. If you need anything, you let me know, Alex.
I will. Appreciate it.
Here, man. What you do wrong now?
I didn't do anything wrong.
Why do you always expect that? Because Pops and Alex never really go well together.
That's fucked up, Allison.